The desert wind carried a strange kind of quiet, the kind that didn't bring peace, but reminded you how alone you were. Inside the dimly lit barracks, Private Elena Ward sat cross-legged on the floor, the metallic scent of gun oil hanging in the air. She was cleaning her weapon, a well-worn N24 sniper rifle, the same one she had carried through dust storms, ambush, and nights filled with distant gunfire. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her hands moved automatically, slide, twist, clean, reassemble. It was muscle memory now. But tonight, her movements were slower, almost hesitant. Each pass of the cleaning rod seemed to pull her deeper into her thoughts, into memories. She didn't want to revisit. The engraved initials near the trigger caught the dim light. CW. The faint carving looked fresh, though it had been there for years. She traced her finger over it, her throat tightening. You better take care of her. Ellie, a voice had said once, warm, teasing, familiar. She's not just a rifle. She's a promise. Elena blinked fast. No, not now. She wiped the barrel again, pretending not to hear that voice echo in her mind, his voice. Outside, footsteps approached, heavy, confident. She recognized that rhythm instantly. General Harris Donovan, the commander of the base, known for his ruthless precision, and a man who had never once looked shaken by anything. Until that night. The metal door creaked open. "Private Ward," he said, his tone crisp as usual. "You're still awake at this hour?" Elena shot up, standing at attention. "Yes, sir. Just cleaning my weapon." He was about to nod and walk away, until his eyes fell on the rifle, laid across the table. His entire body stiffened, the color drained from his face. His jaw locked. And for a moment, the legendary general looked like he had seen a ghost. "Elena?" His voice trembled slightly, the first time she'd ever heard that. "Where did you get that rifle?" Elena blinked in confusion. "Sir, that engraving." He stepped closer, his boots echoing in the silence. His eyes were locked on the tiny letters carved into the steel. CW. Elena's heart began to pound. "It belonged to someone I knew, sir. Corporal Caleb Ward. My brother." The general froze completely. For several seconds, he said nothing. The wind outside howled through the cracks in the walls. And when he finally spoke, his voice carried a grief so heavy it filled the room. "Elena, your brother saved my life." Elena froze. Her brother's name on the general's lips didn't sound like an officer recalling a fallen soldier. It sounded like a confession, a memory that had been buried too deep for too long. She swallowed. You knew my brother, sir." General Donovan took a slow step closer, his eyes never leaving the rifle. His voice, usually sharp as a blade, came out hoarse. "I didn't just know him, Private. I owed him my life." Elena's breath hitched. The general sat down on the metal chair opposite her, his gloved hands trembling as he reached toward the weapon, but he stopped before touching it. As if it were sacred. The silence stretched between them, broken only by the faint creak of the ceiling fan. Then he began to speak. "It was 6 years ago," the general said quietly, "out in Helmand. A joint operation gone wrong. We were ambushed by insurgents, cut off from the main convoy. I was pinned behind a broken Humvee, bleeding out. My cums were dead. My men were falling one by one." He exhaled slowly, eyes clouded with the weight of memory. Then your brother appeared, out of nowhere. I can still see him, sand all over his uniform, face streaked with dust, carrying this exact rifle. He took out 6 hostiles from 100 yards while dragging me to cover. Elena's throat burned. She gripped the edge of the table. "That sounds like him," she whispered. "He always said, 'You don't leave anyone behind.'" The general nodded slowly. "He refused to leave me, even when the extraction bird came late. He stayed back to cover us while we carried the wounded." He finally looked up at her, eyes glistening. "When we reached the chopper, I turned back. He was still firing." And then his voice cracked. A mortar hit the ridge. We never found his body. Elena's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them away fiercely. I was told he went missing in action, she said, her voice trembling. They said the desert took him. The general clenched his fists. The desert didn't take him. We did. We left him behind, Elena. For the first time since she joined the army, Elena saw a general cry. A single tear rolled down his face, leaving a dark trail on his dusty cheek. She didn't know what to say. Her brother had always been her hero, the reason she enlisted, the reason she endured the endless drills, the heat, the loneliness. And now, the man who commanded her base was telling her he was there when Caleb died. But something inside her twisted. Sir, she said softly, why didn't you tell me this earlier? You've known who I am since I was posted here. General Donovan shook his head slowly. I didn't know? Not until now. When I saw the rifle, he pointed to it, voice trembling. I thought I was seeing a ghost. Caleb used to clean it the same way. Same careful hands. Same silence. Elena lowered her gaze. The rifle felt heavier now, not just metal and wood, but a bridge between two souls bound by loss. The general stood, his expression turning solemn again. Private Ward, he said, his tone regaining its authority. Your brother was one of the finest men I've ever known. I failed him once. I won't fail you. She looked up sharply. Sir? You deserve to know the truth about what happened that night, he said. And you deserve to know why his body was never found. The air grew cold, even in the desert heat. What do you mean? She whispered. General Donovan took a deep breath. Because, Elena, he said slowly. 2 months ago, a recon drone captured a man in the same sector, carrying this rifle model, with the same engraving. Her heart nearly stopped. He met her eyes. And I think your brother might still be alive. Elena's world tilted. For a moment she couldn't breathe. Her brother, the brother she had mourned, buried in memory, cried for under silent stars, might still be alive. She stared at the general, trying to process his words. Sir, that can't be possible. He would have come back. He would have found a way. General Donovan's voice softened. Maybe he tried. Or maybe he couldn't. He pulled out a small data tablet from his coat pocket, tapping through encrypted files until he found the one he was looking for. Then he slid it across the table. On the screen was a blurry image, a man cloaked in desert rags, face hidden under a scarf. The photo was grainy, but unmistakably military in his posture, alert, focused, with a rifle swung across his back. Elena's eyes darted to the weapon. Her pulse quickened. The engraving CW barely visible, but there. She covered her mouth, gasping. That's his rifle. The general nodded grimly. The drone captured that image near the Afghan border, deep inside an abandoned stronghold once used by a local militia. Intel suggests it's been occupied again by a single marksman. Elena's eyes filled with disbelief. You think? My brother's been living out there all this time? The general looked down. I don't think. I hope. But if it's true, he's either been hiding or trapped. Later that night, Elena couldn't sleep. She sat on her bunk, staring at the rifle resting on the crate beside her. Her brother's weapon. Her only connection to him. The desert wind hissed through the gaps in the wall, whispering like a voice from long ago. You better take care of her, Ellie. She closed her eyes. Tears slid silently down her cheeks. By dawn, her decision was made. When she walked into the general's office, the sun had just begun to paint the desert in gold. Sir, she said, standing at attention, I'm requesting permission for a field recon. Sector 9, where the drone captured that image. The general looked up from his desk. His expression was unreadable. That area's off limits, he said. It's been declared unstable. We've already lost a recon team there last month. I can handle it, she said firmly. If there's even a chance that's my brother, I need to go. The general studied her for a long moment. The same fire he once saw in Caleb burned now in her eyes. Finally, he sighed. "You sound just like him." He stood, moving to a small cabinet. When he returned, he placed a folded letter on the desk, its edges yellowed, corners brittle. "This was recovered from Caleb's personal effects," he said quietly. "I kept it because I couldn't bring myself to send it. He wrote it the night before the operation." Eleanor's hand shook as she opened it. "If anything happens to me, tell Ellie she's stronger than she knows. Tell her not to live with anger, but to live for the ones who didn't make it home." Her tears fell onto the paper. She clutched it to her chest. The general placed a hand on her shoulder. "If you're going out there," he said, "you're not going alone." She looked up in surprise. "Sir?" He gave a faint smile. "You think I let you walk into that desert without me? I owe him that much." Hours later, two figures moved through the blazing desert sun, one young and determined, one older and burdened with guilt. The wind whipped at their uniforms, the sand crunching under their boots. In the distance, the ruins of an old fortress loomed, half buried in dunes. Half lost to time, Elena raised her binoculars, scanning the horizon. A faint glint of glass caught her eye, a sniper's scope. Reflecting sunlight. She froze. "Sir," she whispered, lowering her binoculars. "We're being watched." The general drew his sidearm. "Stay low." Through the shimmering heat, a lone silhouette appeared on a ridge, tall, motionless. With a rifle aimed directly at them, Elena's breath caught in her throat, because even through the scope, she could see it. The way he held that weapon, steady, precise, familiar. She whispered, voice trembling. "That's how Caleb used to hold his rifle." And then a single shot cracked across the desert sky. The sound of the gunshot echoed through the barren wasteland. Sharp, clean, final. Elena dropped to the sand, her heart hammering so hard she could hear it in her ears. "Down!" The general barked, dragging her behind a dune. The bullet had missed, but only by inches. The wind carried dust and heat, swirling around them like a ghost. Elena's hands trembled as she gripped her rifle. "Sir, he fired at us. I know." The general snapped, then paused, looking toward the ridge through his binoculars. His face tightened. "But he's not moving. He's not running. He's waiting." Eleanor's eyes narrowed. Waiting? For what? They crouched in the shadow of the dunes, the old fortress looming just ahead, cracked walls, shattered towers, and silence heavy as the grave. The air shimmered with heat and tension. Then the general spoke quietly, almost to himself. "He's warning us." Elena blinked. "What? That wasn't meant to kill," he said grimly. "That was a signal shot. A boundary line." The realization hit her like a wave. He didn't want to hurt them. Whoever was up there was protecting something or someone. They waited for dusk, moving only when the sky burned orange and the desert began to cool. The fortress was closer now, its walls riddled with bullet holes. Sand swallowing the doorways. As they crept closer, Elena noticed something scratched into a piece of metal near the entrance. Faint, but visible in the fading light. 3 letters. E.W. Her breath caught. "He's been here." The general touched the carving with his glove. He left a sign. Inside, the air was cooler, but heavy with dust. Old military crates lay broken across the floor. A makeshift bed. Empty ration packs. Bullet casings. And on one of the stone walls, maps. Dozens of them hand-marked with routes and dates. Some crossed out. Some recent. "This isn't just survival," Elena murmured. "He's been tracking movements, studying patrols." "Like he's preparing for something," the general said. "Or someone." Then they heard it. A soft click. Both froze. From behind a cracked pillar, a figure emerged, dressed in desert camo, scarf wrapped around his face, rifle trained on them. The setting sun sliced across his features, revealing eyes that were sharp, haunted. "Familiar. Elena," the general whispered, lowering his weapon slowly. "Don't move." The figure hesitated. The rifle trembled just slightly, and then a voice, hoarse, low, but unmistakably human, broke the silence. "Who sent you?" Eleanor's chest constricted. That voice, she hadn't heard it in 6 years, but it still carried the same weight, the same warmth hidden beneath the grit. She took a single step forward, tears already burning her eyes. "No one sent us," she whispered. "I came for you." The man's eyes widened. He lowered the rifle just an inch. The scarf slipped, revealing a face scarred and weathered by sun and time. But beneath it all, the same gentle features she remembered from childhood. "Ellie?" Her breath hitched. "Caleb." The rifle slipped from his hands as she ran to him. The siblings collided in a desperate, shaking embrace, sand swirling around them, the desert wind crying like it understood. Caleb clutched her tightly, disbelief written across his face. How did you? I thought you were dead," she choked. "They told me you were gone." "I almost was," he whispered, voice breaking. "After the explosion, I woke up under the ridge. Couldn't move. The others were gone. I tried to signal the evac, but they left." Elena glanced at the general. Caleb followed her gaze and froze. "You," he said, voice dropping to ice. "You left me." The general didn't deny it. His face was grim, heavy with guilt. "I did," he said softly. "And I've lived with that every day since." Caleb's jaw tightened. "You think an apology fixes 6 years in the desert?" "No," the general said. "But it's a start." The silence between them felt like another battlefield, both men standing in the wreckage of a past they couldn't escape. Then Caleb spoke again, his tone quieter but edged with steel. "There's something you both need to see." He led them deeper into the fortress, to a hidden chamber carved into the stone. A small lamp flickered against the wall, illuminating stacks of notes, radio parts, and one cracked laptop dot on the screen, a grainy video feed. Desert convoys, unmarked vehicles, drone coordinates. "These men," Caleb said, pointing to the screen, "aren't soldiers. They're mercenaries. Been using this region to smuggle stolen weapons, U.S. weapons. I've been tracking them since the day I realized what happened." The general leaned forward. "You've been living out here, gathering intel?" Caleb nodded. "The men who ambushed us 6 years ago, they weren't insurgents. They were hired. Someone inside sold us out." The air went still. Elena's eyes widened. "You mean someone from our own base?" Caleb met her gaze. "Yes, and I have proof." The air inside the fortress felt heavier now, not from the desert heat, but from the weight of truth that hung in it. Elena stared at the screen, her mind spinning. "Someone inside our command sold you out?" "Sold us out?" Caleb nodded slowly. "It was a setup. They sent our team into that valley as bait to cover up a stolen arms route. When everything went to hell, they made it look like an ambush." He looked straight at the general. "Your unit was never meant to survive, sir. You were the liability they wanted gone." The general's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, scanning the data. "How do you know all this?" Caleb pulled a worn notebook from his pocket, pages filled with coordinates, names, and dates. "I've been intercepting their coms for years." "Same pattern. Same code signatures. The deals still happen, and the base is the hub." Elena felt her stomach twist. Her own base. The place she called home. The people she trusted. The general looked at him, eyes hard. "Why didn't you try to contact us?" Caleb gave a bitter laugh. "And risk warning the same people who left me to die?" "No, I needed proof before I came back." He turned to his sister. His expression softened for the first time. "I was going to reach out soon. But then, I saw you in that drone footage. You were wearing my unit's insignia. I thought—" He stopped. "I thought they'd sent you to finish the job." Elena's heart broke at the fear in his eyes. "No," she whispered, stepping closer. "I came because I couldn't let go. Because I needed to know." Caleb looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, he smiled faintly, still stubborn as ever. The general's radio crackled. A distorted voice came through. Command to ground team, report status. We've lost your signal since entering Sector 9. He hesitated, then slowly reached for the mic. This is General Donovan. We've located what appears to be. Caleb's hand shot up. Don't. They're listening. That's how they track everything. The general froze mid-sentence dot then. Suddenly, the sound of engines echoed in the distance dot low. Heavy. Growing louder, Caleb rushed to the laptop. They found us. Elena's pulse spiked. How? Thermal signature, Caleb said. Already moving. They probably tracked your transport. Damn it, I should've. The general checked his weapon. We'll hold them off. No, Caleb said firmly. They're not coming for a fight. They're coming to erase evidence. He turned to Elena, grabbing her shoulders. You need to take the data. Get it to someone who can expose this. Elena shook her head, tears forming again. No, I just got you back. I'm not leaving you. He smiled softly, eyes glistening. You're not losing me, Ellie. You're keeping me alive by finishing what I started. Outside, the rumble of trucks grew closer. Dust clouds rose over the dunes. The general loaded his pistol, his voice steady. I'll buy you time. Elena turned to him. Sir, we can all... No. His eyes met hers. You're your brother's legacy now. Don't waste it. Within minutes, chaos erupted. Gunfire shattered the night. Explosions lit the horizon. Caleb and the general held the main entry while Elena slipped out the back, clutching the drive in her vest. She could hear Caleb's voice through the gunfire. Go, Ellie! Don't look back. But she did. Through the dust and muzzle flashes. She saw them, her brother firing with perfect precision. The general covering his flank, 2 soldiers bound by duty and redemption. Then, a grenade arced through the air, and everything went white. The blast threw her to the ground. Sand rained down like ashes. Her ears rang, her vision blurred. When she crawled back to the fortress entrance, there was nothing left but fire. Hours later, as dawn broke over the desert, Elena stood at the edge of the smoking ruins. The data drive rested in her palm, the proof her brother had died for. Again, she knelt in the sand. Clutching the rifle, his rifle, close to her chest dot, her tears fell quietly, mixing with dust and blood. I'll finish it, she whispered. I promise. The sun rose slowly, casting long shadows over the dunes. The desert wind carried a faint echo, almost like a voice. Take care of her, Ellie. She smiled through her tears dot and walked away. Thank you for staying till the end. These stories are more than just words. They're moments we all share in some way. If it resonated with you, give it a like, maybe share it forward, and tell me how it made you feel. I love connecting with you guys.